I mean, to really talk to him to see if, because he made a lot of good points, but the phones were open to talk about your take on 2012. So there's a dead ringer right there.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Alex Jones here with a very important announcement for truth seekers. We've carried a lot of amazing films and books over the years on the online video bookstore at Infowars.com. And out of all the titles we've carried, one stands out because it is just so chillingly convincing. And that's Dreams from My Real Father by Joel Gilbert, available at Infowars.com. This film exposes the fraud that Obama is like nothing I've seen. If you want to know who Obama's real daddy is, this is the film for you. Don't forget, your purchase supports our broadcast and our growing media network. You'll also find at InfoWarsShop.com None Dare Call a Conspiracy by Gary Allen, the book that woke me up. We're also carrying Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21 by Rosa Corey. This book is coffin nails to the globalist takeover. The Greater Good, the most professional and up-to-date film I've ever seen exposing the scourge that is vaccines. These titles and a lot more are all available at InfoWarsShop.com. Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure, and it's available discounted at Infowars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. Have you ever wanted to generate your own supply of electrical power, even save money on your electric bill? If so, this could be one of the most important messages you will ever hear. Solar-powered generators are now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces electricity from the sun. It's like having an electrical power plant running quietly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, and even keep your food from spoiling. Whether it's hurricanes, ice storms, brownouts, or blackouts, you'll never suffer through painful power outages again. And here's the best news. A remarkable fall truckload sale is going on right now that gets you $1,700 in bonuses when you buy a solar generator. To find out why these solar generators are the best generators and get $1,700 in bonuses for doing so, go to falltruckloadsale.com. That's falltruckloadsale.com. Generate your own supply of electricity. Go to falltruckloadsale.com. That's falltruckloadsale.com.
I would stand in line for this. There's always room in life for this. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Then it fell apart.
My wife never calls me up hardly on air, but I guess she was listening, and she said, that guy was a huge fan. You were mean to him. So I apologize to the last caller. But at the same time, I'm like, what's the name of the book? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, offend you. And I'm like, you're not offending me. Just tell me the name. So it's not even that I'm mad at the last caller. I'm just so tired of people getting on air and going, is it okay if I talk about this? Is it okay if I talk about that? Man, you're on air. I know people lie and say that, we have fake phone callers and that you can't really call in. It's the opposite, folks. We have real phone callers. You can really call into this show. We got Bev Harris coming up here in just a moment, but let's go to Mike in California. Mike, on the 2012 topic, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. Thanks for taking my call. I attended a preparedness seminar a couple months back, and they mentioned the great possibility of solar storms, which, like on InfoWars right now, there was that great article. So, but the interesting thing I heard was about the Mayan calendar and why they stopped creating it. Basically, the speaker was suggesting that the coming solar storm would be so strong that it changes the tilt of the Earth. So it's not that the end of the world as we know it is coming. It's that time will change as we know it. And which is why they stopped making the calendar, because it no longer fit into the timeline of the last few thousand years that they had predicted. And I guess with that, the statement, a new age and a new phase begins, is less scary. Just, be very prepared and don't be scared, right?
Well, exactly. What I'm saying is I don't think it's the end of the world. The Mayan prophecy is a new hearth. One fire is put out, a new fire is built, even if you put stock in that. But the globalists themselves, they are running around digging in like it's the end of the world. They are building bases. They're doing all this. But most of it is designed for what looks like a nuclear war with Russia, China, or both. Great points. I appreciate your call. Shifting gears now into something that we know is going on. Bev Harris joins us. It's been a few weeks, obviously, since the election. She's with blackboxvoting.org. She is the preeminent election fraud expert out there. And we have one of the least transparent systems in the world. International advisors were here and said, we just can't believe people just trust the system. And she was on with us right after the election going over unprecedented anomalies. To paraphrase what she said, I wanted to recap it. She said she's never seen this much just open announcing states before any votes that day were counted. Just amazing things happening. So joining us to run down, now that we've got some time after the election, for her to really be able to ferret around and investigate. She's got a lot of breaking news for us today, and I really appreciate Bev Harris taking time out to join us. And then we'll go back to your calls, and then we have a guest in studio, folks. Bev Harris, thank you for coming on.
Oh, hi, Alex.
You've got the floor. Tell us kind of a recap and then what you've discovered since then.
Oh, my gosh. It's just still pouring in. But there's some very, very interesting statistical anomalies. Normally, I don't get too excited about stats because they can have a lot of assumptions behind them. But these are really interesting. It looks like they withheld hundreds of thousands of votes. Actually, nationwide, it was millions of votes from the original counts. Now, as you mentioned, they called the election before counting, but when they did release the initial counts, they had withheld millions of votes from that. And what's really interesting is now that they're getting those votes finally counted, there's a huge trend difference. For example, in some states, it's a 30% difference in the last set of votes versus the first set of votes, which, why would that happen? If all these random people are voting, why would the delayed ones suddenly be voting for someone different? And there's some also very interesting, difficult to explain anomalies that are affecting a number of different races and different ballot issues that kind of point to an algorithm in the voting machines or in the results reporting stuff where basically an impossible pattern is appearing as you look at the data, indicate something that could not occur naturally, but does seem to be an impossible pattern. So it's kind of hard to explain that on the air without looking at the graphs and so forth, but very, very interesting and getting closer to proof.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's also some, I just uncovered this weekend. I was trying to figure out, now, we had heard, that the Bain spinoff, Romney-affiliated company bought Hart Intercivic, a voting machine company. I had also heard that Warren Buffett had bought the World Herald in Omaha, which owns ES&S. But I found out that they had sold ES&S. So I thought, maybe Warren Buffett, who's an Obama supporter, doesn't own the voting machine company that counted 2/3 of our votes. But then it's a little more complicated than that. It turns out that the Omaha World Herald may have sold the elections division to itself in another division. So I'm still running that down to see who actually owns these. But in the course of that, I uncovered a whole bunch of patent applications from election systems and software. And these things are as creepy as it gets. For example, they applied for a patent for technology that allows them to remove cast votes from the electronic poll books so that it would be that the person who is recorded as having voted has not voted. That's a patent. Aren't we lucky? And another patent, even more interesting, they called it the poll worker control patent, which basically allows someone in a central office to gain control of the voting machine.
Unbelievable.
Just crazy stuff that's coming out.
But obviously they develop these tools to be able to steal elections. They don't want somebody else taking their hard-earned tool.
And they claim that there's a beneficial thing, like what if somebody accidentally puts a voter in the poll book and they really didn't vote? But that's fine. But look, you can also use it for the most evil purposes imaginable, and there it sits. So they're patenting this stuff, and it's on the record. That's why it's unprecedented how in our face this is.
But let's go back to what the big bombshell you dropped days after the election, and I went and looked it up on your site. There was all the links and the online bibliography, the proof, where they were announcing states before they had counted any of the votes other than the absentee and early voting. And, they announced Prop 37 before even a fraction of the votes were counted.
Right.
They're just setting
Prop 37 has impossible statistical anomalies. Now, it's one of the ones that I mentioned, these statistical studies that are really starting to bear fruit. One of them is done by a fellow named Francois Choquette out of Southern California. Prop 37 looks absolutely impossible from the way that the numbers are running. Break
down some of the facts on that.
Well, essentially, as you add more and more votes into the pool, the spread sort of evens out, because like if you have 10 votes for this guy and 5 for this guy, then there's a certain spread. But if you have 1 million for this guy and 500,000 for this guy, it takes a lot of votes to make the spread change, or the percentage of spread change. But what was happening in Prop 37 is the more votes came in, and we're talking millions and millions, the more the spread changed, favoring that they didn't want to know what was in their food. It's an impossible situation, and if you think about it, as you add more and more data to the pool, that spread is going to stabilize. But it didn't stabilize at all. It kept going. The more votes go into the pool, the more the percentage of spread changed. Impossible.
And instead of things getting better in the last few decades as the frauds become apparent, and even as the public polls show become aware of the fraud, instead of it being reversed, there seems to just be a bum rushing now to shake a tail feather in our face, hike a leg on us, to use, that crude example, and just dominate us and let us know. I mean, next they may announce that, that the Lucky Charms creature...
the leprechaun.
Yeah, the leprechaun is running things. I mean, it's...
Well, and let me tell you, you remember back in 2002, they put the Help America Vote Act through, which pushed all these electronic voting machines into it. Well, the son of Help America Vote Act, I call it, Hava's baby, is already proposed in Congress. And guess what this one does? It offers cash incentives to states that basically remove the warm body from the vote. In other words, when you go into the polling place to vote, you can see, oh, that's Alex Jones. He came into the polling place. Once you start casting your vote through the internet or through absentee, nobody knows. There's no warm body associated with that vote at all. So it could be anybody who put it in. Well, they're starting to offer cash. There's a bill in Congress to offer cash incentives to states to, quote unquote, streamline their voting system. And one of the things that will receive an incentive is to remove the warm body from the vote so that it can't be authenticated who put that vote in there.
Unbelievable. So just they know we're waking up, so they're accelerating towards open, complete fraud.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's moving so fast now. And on the other hand, catching them in the act is moving faster and faster as well, where we're starting to see the minute they get out of the gate, people start to see it.
But they're in control. What do you do when the criminals are in control and are in control of the law enforcement aspect?
Well, you just, look, truth doesn't go away. And we have to keep speaking truth, because more and more people in the public are starting to understand. The problem is that the public can't see what's going on. The problem is not some kind of cryptography or security, or whether you have a paper ballot that's counted in secret, whether you can't see. The whole thing boils down to, can the public see it or not? And once the public gets that, then however long it takes, the public will never not get that again. And when you start looking at other situations,